enjoy your story. You know, I enjoy what you guys are doing over there. Um, it's gonna impact so many people, and just keep doing the work. You know what I mean? Like even on the days where it's slow and you just ain't feeling it, or man, that hill a little too hard or it's a little too high to climb right now.
Yeah.
Man, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, because somebody gonna take to it. They gonna need y'all at a desperate time, and y'all gonna be the fix they need at that moment. Oh, so hey, welcome back to Chicago 45, the YouTube channel, the podcast, or whatever you want to call it. I'm your gracious host, Darae. We're here with another Black king and another Black beloved. As you know, I'm trying to get like what's the rapper name? Loaded Lux. I love how you be saying beloved. So I got to use that in my vocabulary now. So we're here with my guy Victor Sandifer. Did I say your last name right?
You said it right, Sandifer. It's spelled just like it
Man.
sounds.
See, look, high school did good for me. Did good for me,
It did.
man.
Hey,
It did good for me. How you doing today, brother?
man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm out here trying to live this life. I'm happy to see another one. You know, a lot of people didn't make it to 2021, so I'm just happy just to be here in this number. Like, happy to be Ronnie free and just living.
For sure, man. For those who don't know, this guy is co-owner of Run the World Clothing. Uh,
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the name more than everything else. The name is powerful. It speaks
Yeah.
to me because it's the truth. We do run the world. And you from the Black Mecca too. You from a Black Mecca, right?
Yeah. I'm from one of them.
Where you from? Let everybody know where you from.
Yeah. I hail from Oakland, California. You know, the Oakland, California, home of the Black Panthers. You know, home of the Black Power movement. So it's not on me, as we say. It's not on me. It's in me. So
Okay,
the
for
Black
sure,
Power
for
is in
sure.
me.
Okay. Hey, so tell everybody who you are. Tell everybody who you are. Like, who is Victor?
Well, I would say Victor is a young man who is dedicated to the upliftment of Black folks around the world, particularly starting off in America and then around the diaspora, but starting off home base. And I just want to be a person that when I leave here, I left this a better place for people that look like you and I. That's really what my whole mission is. I kind of learned that at an early age, and ever since then, it's just been figuring out ways to do that. And it
Mm,
shows up in different ways at different times.
okay. Hey, so I I love that. I love that, and we need more of me and you, of people like us doing that and having that same thought process. You know, just trying to uplift us as much as possible and give us different avenues to get out of our shitty situation that most of us in from the birth. So
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Tell me about Run the World.
Yeah, so Run the World is a community empowerment clothing brand and experience company, and we use apparel to educate, empower, and inspire. And we started back in 2013 with me and my best friend, Demont Oliver, also from Oakland, California. We've been best friends since we were 8 years old. So we 30 now. So that's what, 22 years. So majority of my life we've just been rocking with each other, and yeah, Run the World's been this thing, our little baby child that we've just been growing and fine tuning and chopping that and chiseling so it can be this great masterpiece one day.
Okay, so you said 2013.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
that's the inception of it. Yeah.
okay. So the journey's been it's been just all up. So it's been downs. What's the journey been like?
Man, the journey is ups and downs for sure. Like even today, I today was one of those days where I was on a roller coaster. You know, it's one of those things where because you're creating something new to an extent, right? There's always going to be apparel companies, but when you're kind of trying to create something new, there's no handbook to do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. So some days I feel as though like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, am I doing the right thing? Is what I'm doing working? And some days I'm like, man, and this is where I get stuck into this mode where I'm looking at what other people are doing or other things or other brands that I think are similar or doing what I may consider from the outside looking in as better. And I'm just getting down on myself because I'm like, damn, where am I at? Why am I not at these places? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not getting these accolades and X, Y, and Z? So I go through that still. And yeah, I was going through that today. So it's one of the emotional roller coasters, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world because it's a labor of love, and for me, it's my life's work. So it's not really like a job or something. It's literally what I want to do with my life. So
Mm.
every day is just another day to try to get better at life work.
Okay, and so this may be a little too much. Did you? This is your full-time job, or you still got a day job?
Yeah, this is my full time job. It's my full time. What I do every day. Every day is this. I guess to go back into a little backstory because you did say what Run the World is before this. So I'm an educator at heart. So for me, so Run the World, for us, Run the World means look back, give back to the world. So if you look at our logo, it's Sankofa. Sankofa is an Ndinko symbol from Ghana, which represents this idea of looking back and fetching it, and it translates directly to it's not taboo to go back and fetch what you left behind, and that's history and your roots. And so I designed the logo with the globe in the center to signify looking back and giving back to the world. So our belief is that whatever your passion is, if you use that to give back to other people, then you run the world. So my passion is in education. I've always been about education and inspiring folks. So I use my clothing as a way to educate, empower, and inspire. So before I started doing the clothing, um, I thought I was going to go and get a PhD and study Black identity and education and get a PhD and teach and do research. And I found out that that wasn't really what I really wanted to do. And that's how I started. But that's was kind of the things that kind of molded me to create Run the World. So that just gives you a little backstory about like me. So before this, I was an educator. I worked actually. So I graduated from UC Berkeley, which is in Berkeley, California, and uh, after that, I got a job on campus working as the program coordinator for the African American Student Development Office on campus, and it was a great job, career job where I could have went up in the ranks. And I left in 2016 because though I was doing something I loved to do, I felt like I could be doing more. And I had already like had started Run the World, and I got that bug like, yo, a job like this will always be here, but I may not always have the opportunity to pursue something like this. And I was just solely focused on it. So I just jumped, and I've been, I have my ups and downs, but it is what I want to do. Again, it's life work.
Mm. Also, you're invested. You're an educator of the black culture. You're deep in it. So this ain't no just no fluke. You woke up one day and was like, I'm woke. You deep in it.
Yeah. So yeah, because so I my major was African American Studies with a minor in education. So that was all I studied. Yeah. So I've and even when I design clothes, and we'll probably talk about that later, but that's even my process. Is I went to a research one institution. So when I'm designing clothes, there's always a level of research that goes into what I'm doing to figure out actually what message I'm trying to get out, what I'm trying to teach. And that's like the funnest part. I'll probably be able to talk about the process, how I design stuff later on. But yeah, this is what I do. Ambassadors program that we're working on. And so he manages folks that are part of like our ambassadors program and stuff. So he does all like the day-to-day operational stuff.
Okay, so you got to
So
about
he's
to start up
yeah,
an
I do.
ambassador program.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, it's gonna be like a
Yeah, the
scam.
ambassadors program.
It's gonna be like the scammer
Nah,
scam.
no, 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 no. Nah, not the scammers. We ain't scamming nobody, man. It's really, and we gave people opportunity, folks. So here's the thing, like, man, this is one of the things that, man, I can't. This feeling that I get when this happens is one I can't explain or that I ever want to give up. But what happens is what I found out when you do something that's super powerful, folks reach out to you and want to figure out when they identify with what you're doing, they want to figure out how they can be a part of it. And so
I.e.
I used to
me.
get all these like messages. Yeah, I used to like people would hit me be like, "Yo, how can I get involved? I really love what you're doing. Like it's impacting me in this way. How do I get involved?" And for the longest, I'd be like, "Shit, just buying the clothes is good enough." But man, like I had to start thinking about, yo, I have to expand my reach, and I have to be like, if there's people that really identify with that much, you have to figure out a way to give them, lift the platform for them to be able to speak. Because I read this book called Tribes. That's one of the books that I read to even like that gave me the idea to create Run the World how we know it today. It was about this guy named Seth Godin, and he talked about tribes. And he talks about we're all a part of different tribes, and we're all looking to become a part of tribes. And really, we're trying to go. We were looking for people to lead us to places where we already want to go. So we'll Run the World. It's already a mindset. The people. I'm not convincing anybody who likes Run the World to like Run the World. They already know they like it. They just needed somebody to get them to that place to show them what they already liked. And so for me, it's just figuring out a way to do that for folks. You know what I'm saying? Giving people opportunity to be a part of the brand and share with other people how they've been impacted.
Okay. I was watching. There's this one brand that I'm really into. World Envision.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
those
I know
guys.
about them.
I was just watching a video of them and just seeing the growth and transformation. The infrastructure has blown up. How has you guys like infrastructure blown up as far as staffing and things like that? Because I'm pretty sure in the beginning it was just you and him and maybe another homie or so. How like it has you guys staff got bigger? And I talked to you a little earlier. You said you're in a store. Like how is that for you guys?
Yeah, so it's still us. It's still me and him. So we're still doing it. We're still pushing it. Um, but so I actually live in Atlanta, Georgia, and so when I talk about the grind, right? So when I got here, there's this area that reminds me of an area I'm from in California called Berkeley. Well, this college I went to was in the city called Berkeley. And in Berkeley, there's a street called Telegraph. Up Telegraph is all these like artsy like stores and artsy like folks that be around there. There's one similar to that in Atlanta called Little Five Points. And I would go out there in the summer. uh, so I've been there 3 years, but I would go out there every summer and I would just have a bag of all my clothes and I would literally go post up on a corner trying to sell my clothes. That's literally what I was doing, like on the grind. And I was getting on a bus. Like I was literally big ass bag and a big ass table, getting on the bus, going with my clothes and being there like all day and just like grinding it out. And from there, I met people who had stores and shops over there, and I met a young lady who has a shop out there, and she was looking to bring more brands and stuff into the store. And so I was able to get a placement in her store, as well as I'm able to, and then I work there on 1 day a week to like just do whatever I can do, selling my clothes, but sell really um, staffing the boutique. And it's called the Pink. For those of you in Atlanta, it's called the Pink Zebra Boutique.
Okay, so you grind, you grind,
Yeah, I'm grinding, grinding.
you grind. So I'm assuming the goals for you guys is to continue to grow. Is product hard pushing out for you because it's just you two guys, or is it somewhat kind of chill?
uh, it's easy and hard at sometimes. It's just about, but it's like I have to do the work. So a lot of my pieces are cut and sew, but a lot of my t-shirts are more so the easier part, right? So I just looked up and was able like to lease a DTG machine, which is direct to garment printing machine. So I print all my shirts myself. So that can take a while. That can take a while, like printing your own shirt. So yeah, in
For sure,
essence, yeah.
because
And then
that's a bad
sometimes
that's a badass jacket you got on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now this is a cut and sew one. Yeah, this is a piece right here. Yeah.
So you
Um,
saw it all and all that, or
no,
you
so when I say cut and sew, it's not that I'm doing it. It's like it's so when it's not cut and sew, it typically means that you got a blank garment from someone else from some other company. So let's say Gildan, right? For example, Gildan might make blank varsity jackets, and then you would embellish it with your pieces and your design and your logo to make it yours. That's even with T-shirts too, sometimes, right? So people buy blank Gildans or Comfort Colors or Bella canvases and all those T-shirts, and you use that blank, and then you print on the blank. When I say cut and sew, that means that I'm actually starting from start to finish. I'm figuring out picking what fabric I use. I'm creating what the cut of the jacket is going to look like, how big it is, how wide the arms are, how
oh,
long it goes. I'm designing and having a say so on all those aspects of it, and so that's when it becomes cut and sew. So cut
mm,
and sew, that's what cut and sew is.
that's
So
deep
for
right
this
there.
jacket, yeah. So for this jacket, like I was like, okay, this is the fabric I want to use. I want it to fit like this. This is the measurements for a large. This is the measurement for a small. This is the measurement for a medium, and so on.
Man, how do I come across that worker's jacket, the blue one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo. So it's on pre-order right now. It'll be here next week. It'll be here next week. And for those of y'all, it's on runtheworldclothing.com. Go there and get it. I'm more than halfway sold out, so I'm really excited about that before they even come. And the workers jacket, yeah, it's a dope piece. It's a dope piece, and I'll be able to tell you about the backstory of
Go
like
ahead,
how it
talk,
came
talk,
about.
talk to me about it. Talk to me.
Yeah. So that workers jacket is one piece in a larger kind of idea, a larger kind of thought that I'm trying to get out to the world. So last year for me um, was the most evident I've ever seen it be. But I've always been trying to figure out like the condition of Black folks, particularly in America. What can we do? How can we? What is the real? If at the elementary level, what is the issue that Black people are dealing with? And what I figured out really is that capitalism. Like I'm not necessarily a Bible thumper or anything, but I will tell you this: like the Bible says, the love of money is the root of all evil. And really, when you think about how race comes about, when you think about why a group of foreign people would come to a country or to come to a foreign land and give them people smallpox blankets and wipe out and pretty much wipe out a whole population of people, and then go to a different continent and go buy and steal and rape and kill and bring people over to a continent to build it up for them. You see, a lot of it has to do with resources. It all ties back to I want money and I want to be in control. And so with that, when we think about what happened last year, it was so evident that like the world, particularly this country, doesn't give a fuck about poor people. And it's all about the haves versus the have nots. And so for me, I started doing all this research on capitalism. I started doing this research on like, and looking at it from a Black perspective. So I started reading all these books. And from there, I just realized that, yo, capitalism is single handedly fucking over Black people. It literally has, and it always will be. So as long as there's capitalism in this country, you're never going to get the the Black condition is never going to be better. Just to be honest, because you and I know right now 5 millionaires, billionaires right now that we know and that are Black that are in our culture. At one point, we only knew Oprah and Bob Johnson, who was BET. Now we know about 4 or 5 right now, billionaires in the Black condition. Last time I checked, Black people are still fucked up all around this country. So it's not support Black businesses is not going to be the one thing that gets the majority of Black folks to be able to come, because what it really happens is in order where capitalism works, you have to exploit somebody in order for you to be able to make millions of dollars. Meaning that I have to exploit somebody's labor. I have to pay them less than what I'm going to make in order to make a profit, right? So all that to say that the work jacket came from that, and I wanted to think about what were Black people, what's an alternative to it. And one of the alternatives that I thought was really dope was co-ops, cooperatives. We usually see cooperatives having like food places and stuff, but I did all this research on co-ops, and I read this book um, about Black folks in co-ops. It's called I'm gonna get the name of it for you, but that book really like made me want to like get folks to really think about um, alternatives to capitalism. So it's called Collective Courage. The name of the book is called Collective Courage. It's a history on African American cooperative economic thought and practice. And I think that's a better model, and that's a model that Black folks have used throughout time. So that jacket, if you look on the back of it, though it's dope, right? It has the Kente inlining inside of it and has the removable patches, but on the back of it, it also said "Run the World Cooperative." So it's a way of like, oh, what's a cooperative, and get people talking and thinking about cooperatives. And I'm also playing with it and thinking about how can I make Run the World more of a cooperative type of business structure.
Man, I think it's important that clothes and garments have that story. Because
Mm-hmm.
without that story, it's just some bullshit we throw on our backs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We fucking look at like Gucci and them. They give us a story, they sell it to us, and we run with it. We like, oh yeah, this shit is hard. But far as Black clothes, it's not really like a story behind. I mean, back when we was growing up, Rockaway had a story behind it. You know what I mean? It was that urban. It was like this was the closest thing we could get to Gucci or anything. Fubu had that impactful story. So it's super dope that thought process you had on the plight of Black people and capitalism, how that resulted into making a wonderful piece of art, which tells a story. When you put it on, it's going to strike up a conversation with somebody. It's going to strike up somebody to be like, let me go do my homework and see what the fuck dude talking about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he over here, he think he's too damn righteous. You know, let me look on what the fuck is, you know what I mean? It gets the
Yep.
conversations going, and then it also separates the brand from everybody else. Because everybody got a t-shirt line. Everybody got, that. My little brother trying to start one. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, well, like they asked me what the culture is. I said, if you don't got that answer, you shouldn't go into this. you guys are creating this brand and you're doing. When did you guys know that this could work? Like, what was that moment you was like, bro, let's go all in on this?
So so this was back in 2016. So 2016, I had literally just like left my job. I had saved up maybe $3,000, $4,000, not a lot of money, but just a good like just enough to like where I felt like I could like survive for a little bit. So I had a little bit of money saved up, and I just paid off my car, so I didn't have a car note, and I didn't have that much like stuff like bills, not much overhead. So um, I was like, I got an opportunity to be in a store in downtown Oakland with a friend of mine. His name is Baba. He um, he had a shop that was right next door to where I worked at one point in time when I was like 23. And so I would always go by and talk with him. And so once he gave me the opportunity, he was like, yo, if you want to put your stuff in the store, we can work that out. So we worked that out. And during that time, I was trying to create like this new collection. So I ended up creating this new collection product that was so each year we have a different theme. So my first theme was called the Gods of Sankofa. No, this was called the God. This was the Pioneers of Sankofa. So the name of this collection was called the Pioneers of Sankofa, and it really was a collection paying homage to pioneers of Black folks. So what I did was who pioneered like Black upliftment, Black movement. So what I did was I created this collection and I created this experience. So it was tight. So we had the clothes that we created, but we made this event to like unveil the clothes. What we did was I created like this multidisciplinary like art exhibit where folks didn't know what they were coming to. They just knew that they were coming to this to see some new clothes, but they didn't know what was going to happen. So everybody come down to the shop. People came to the shop, but downstairs was the art exhibit. So I made this thing where I wrote everything that was did. I kind of wrote it out. I had folks come and like participate and model the clothes. Had people like performing and stuff. So what happened was you would go downstairs in groups, and in each group there would be a little exhibit. So the first exhibit was talking about what black folks were doing before slavery, how we had schools, how we had history, how we had all these different things. It would talk about that. And then after that, but they were all wearing Run the World clothes that was inspired by it. So they would wear the clothes and then that exhibit would be done. And then walk over to the next exhibit. The next exhibit was talking about black culture. So what I highlighted was black folks during the Harlem Renaissance. So we had like it to be like a certain kind of cotton club, and we had a young woman perform a poem while everybody else was like kind of watching. Everybody in the scene was like still watching, and they would walk through that and they would watch that, and then after they watched that, that would be over. Then they walked to the next one. The next one talked about the civil rights movement. So I had people wearing like the picket signs, and I had this whole film this montage film that I created that was bouncing off of the people. So everybody watched that film. And then the last one was like this Black Panther scene that we created as well. So they will go through this experience and then go back upstairs, and they wouldn't tell the people that was coming down next. So I had like all these people come and do that. And then after that, we had people able to buy the clothes. And when I tell you like it impacted people in the crazy way, like because after we had like a whole discussion and let people talk and like be a part of the discussion, that's when I was like, oh shit, I really got something. Like I really had something, like people, and they were buying the clothes. So like the whole story was like being told and people were buying the clothes. That's when I knew that we actually had something. I was like, oh, this is something real.
So obviously, this past summer was a very traumatic time for Black people in America, um, and I'm pretty sure that probably carved the collections in the summer. Did you guys drop anything in the summer? I can hear you.
We've been dropping pieces, but we haven't did like the full collection like I talked about previously. We haven't did that yet.
Okay, so yeah, so the summer was a bunch of a bunch of lows for Black people in America, and I wonder, because I hear you're socially aware and conscious of it. I wonder, does that almost like hearing those things and seeing those things, does that fuck with your creativity and you guys, the way you guys move? Because that shit is a daunting task every day, getting up and wearing this skin and knowing that people don't give two shits about you. You spoke about capitalism in America, you know, how you got to use another motherfucker to get on. And like, that's been our history since we've been to America. So knowing those things is, I know it's a weight, because I know for me trying to educate the black girls and the black boys that I know from back home, it's a hard task, because I'm I got to tread carefully with the things that I'm giving to them, because I'm unlearning the shit that I was learned back in high school and grammar school, and even in the days I went to college a little bit. I'm unlearning some of those things, and I'm trying to encourage them to get more into their, their history and things like that. And now doing this YouTube thing, it's like I gotta put out stuff that is really meaningful to the culture. If it's not meaningful to the culture, I shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? So is that a thing that you guys deal with?
No, I don't think so. And I only say that because when I say it's life work, I mean it's life work. I think I live, eat, breathe, and sleep this. So I was doing this before any of those things were happening, if that makes sense. So before those things happened, I was already working on how do I figure out a way to uplift black people? How do I figure out a way to educate more, give more information out? How do I navigate this for black people? And so that's just always been my thing. So if any of the things that happened this summer hadn't happened, I still would have been doing what I was doing, if that makes sense. So
For sure.
in that sense, no. But I will say that it gives you more shit to talk about. It gives me more things to bring more awareness to. It gives me another opportunity to use something that's really happening in people's lives to push another message, if that makes sense. So in that sense, it definitely helps out for me to be able to put out more information or inspire me to create more things because again, I just trying to create and make things that give people an opportunity to feel empowered, to be inspired, or to be educated. And so
Uh,
I think more shit happens, the more I'm able to be like, yo, this is a smaller thing, and like there's a reason why this is happening, and you know what, this actually has happened before,
yeah.
and this is how it has happened, and this is how it is still affecting you today, or these are some solutions that I think it's not the solution, but these are just some alternatives that I think would be something that we should look into. And that's how I give and that's how I teach. I don't teach from a like I know everything perspective. Like, nah, y'all gotta listen to me and I know this and I'm woke and I don't teach from that way. That's not my teaching style. My teaching style was, hey, this is some information that I got. I'm going to share with you. What you do with it is what you do with it.
Yeah.
Because for me, one of my most favorite quotes comes from Carter G. Woodson, who was a educator, and he said, if you can control a person's thought, he really said man, but I just say it's persons, not just genderize it. But if you can control the way a person thinks, then you can control their actions.
Mm.
And that stuck with me because he goes on to say, you won't even have, if you can teach somebody and make them think that they're inferior, you won't even have to tell them to go through the back door. They'll just go themselves. And if there isn't a back door, they'll create it because they've been so conditioned to think that they're supposed to be a certain way. So for me, I think a lot of the ways in which we think, a lot of it comes from just the lack of knowledge. So again, I like to use Bible references because a lot of black folks um, tend to skew on the Christian side of things. But the Bible says my people were destroyed for their lack of knowledge.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So lack of knowledge, and it's not that we don't have, it's not there for us, but it was systematic, like you said in school. It's no reason why you should learn about a lot of the history that I had to go to school and college and pay to be able to learn about. Those things should be things we should just be ingrained with because it's literally all American history.
All American
You
history.
get what I'm saying? Like it's all
Yeah.
American history. So that should be taught in the books, but it's systematically not taught in a lot of our schools. And we see how a lot of us come out.
For sure. Uh, I also want to highlight this too. When you see me on Instagram and my leg tatted up, don't think I copied you. Because
Yeah.
those who think he not for real, my man got a whole black museum on his left leg, right leg. I can't remember.
Left leg. Yep.
He got a whole black museum on his leg. I had that idea. He took it from me before I can even get myself tatted up on that spot. So if y'all see us on there and he pop his on one day and I throw mine's on, uh, it was him that followed my trend. I want to put
You
that out
can't
there
give up
first.
my secret. Don't.
I had that idea first. You know what I mean? I was thinking,
Hey.
but he got to me first. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
wonderful too that it's there, and it's not all male on that either. You have
Mm-hmm.
women on there as well because Lord knows in the Black community how strong the Black woman is and how successful they are as being warriors for us when we can't be warriors. So that's beautiful that you got that on there. What made you go and say, let me get these faces on me?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, I'm a part of the culture, so tattoos has been a thing for us all, right? So it's just been a thing that we've just been accustomed to throughout time or throughout the hip hop culture, throughout hip hop. So for me, I always knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't have the funds to do it. And I found an artist out here who has a really good price. His name is Chad. That's my boy now. His name is Chad. We boys, we sat through war together because I had to sit there for 12 hours to get all of that done. Like I got it
Well,
all done at one time, 12 hours, literally 12 hours of work. But yeah, I was just like, man, I wanted to get that. I knew I wanted to do it, and I figured it out. I got a good price, and I went through it. I actually had the appointment set in like maybe June. I didn't get it till November. So so it so I waited a long time. So when I got it, I was super juiced. But just to answer the question about why I got those folks, man. For me,
name
I'm
who you
always
got.
intentional. Yeah. So I have Fannie Lou Hamer, I have Nina Simone, I have Harriet Tubman, and I have Ella Baker, and then I have James Baldwin, Muhammad Ali, Richard Pryor, Malcolm X on there.
Hey,
So I think
hey,
it's 4 and 4.
hey, before you go in, I'm I'm like in love with the mouthpiece of James Baldwin.
Yeah, right, right.
I'm just like
Hard.
infatuated with the way he can, shape his words
Hmm.
and put the context of conversation and to ponder and think about it first. I've watched him
Hmm.
on several interviews. People ask him a question and he'll just smile and look up, and then he will uh, presume to annihilate them pretty much
Yeah,
in context.
and that was part of the reason why I got him. And his ability to speak truth to power
Yes.
is second to none. Like I put him and Malcolm X in the same category, and Muhammad, actually all of them. But him for sure himself, that man, his ability to be able to articulate the condition of Black folks and to explain things about like how we were feeling was one that I knew deserved to be on this Mount Rushmore for me.
Hey, because his story is not the normal Black man's story.
Hmm.
That man went overseas, lived over there, and it was kind of like closed off to what was going on in here because it wasn't happening so much over there. But that man came back and said, you know what, I'm over there. I'm not helping if I'm over there. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? I need to get back home and help. So his story is very, very important for young people to go look up on and do homework. Fannie Mae, same way. Like, come on, who broke burials?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
broke
and
them.
that was my thing. I wanted to not only highlight folks that I thought everybody knew, but I wanted to also highlight folks that I didn't think everybody really knew. And that was my way of like still being able to teach because a lot of people don't know a lot of those names that we named. So everybody know the Malcolms and the Muhammad Ali's, and to another extent like the Richard Pryors. But there was a whole lot of people. The James Baldwin is just now because of his documentary that came out a couple years ago. It's probably getting a little more spotlight than he usually has gotten. Nina Simone herself, Fannie Lou Hamer, uh, Ella Baker, like all those. We all know about Harry Tubman, but like Ella Baker, those stories, those are the ones that of people who were giants that did so much. I think for me, another example was Nina Simone, man. Her ability she makes great music, but she used her platform in a way and sacrificed maybe making a lot of pop culture hits to say, I'm going to use my platform in order to push a message. And y'all like it or not, but I'm going to continue to push this message. And that for me was what I want to do. Like in regards to like being famous, in regards to respectability politics, my people are out here perishing. So I'm going to dedicate my life, my gifts that God gave me in order to give back and project and help the world become a better place.
Hey, okay. Who are some brands that you guys are like looking and seeing and saying, hey, that's a good template for us to follow, or let's pluck some things from them because they're making strides. Who are those those brands like that for you guys?
That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question.
See, I try to ask good questions. I try.
Yeah, you do. I really like, ironically, it's a couple of folks out of Chicago that I really like. So Joe Fresh Goods out of Chicago. I love his stuff. I
People,
just love.
I did a guy who has a clothing line, Lenore Jerome, saying he
He
brought the
said that
same
too.
guy up.
Yep, Joe Fresh Goods is a good one. I think that's probably one of the ones I like the most. He has a couple of folks under him, or not under him, but that he works with. A lot of those guys, I look at those guys, man. I think outside of like the apparel and their ability to be able to just stay unapologetic, like to Chicago, and just do their thing and not care whether what the industry thinks and operate inside of it for themselves. That's like the biggest thing that I want to take from them. But this other part of like doing it with your friends, doing it with people that look like you, and sharing the wealth, sharing the knowledge, and everybody being able to eat and able to create. Because it's not logical for everybody to have a store when you all can operate under one roof, which is like the Fat Tiger Workshop. So for me,
Yeah.
I think that template of like, hey, we all in house, and when I get an opportunity from Nike, or if I get opportunity from New Balance, or I get opportunity from Converse, I'm gonna share and put my niggas on too, like, and they're gonna get shoes and they're gonna get opportunities. I love that, and I think more people need to follow that template.
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, because especially for us right here on Chicago 45, we got a bunch of like ideas in mind. We just collab with a smaller brand back home, No Cap. They got some nice stuff going on. Young kids from the college. So I was like, hey, I'm all aboard because y'all, y'all look like me. Whatever y'all need from us, we're gonna help, and vice versa. And our goal is to expand and because I think that, so like, to answer you the question I asked you, I think for me the people that we're looking at is like, I don't know if you heard of Jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
Jubilee's a YouTube, it's an Asian guy that runs it, but
Okay.
there's a bunch of conversations that he's having on there, and I'm like, whoa, that's fire right there. But it's like it's a full on big ass conglomerate of like, we doing everything under the sun, and we're gonna have all staff, everybody gonna knock it out, we're gonna get it done. And the next one will be like, this is like the big one for me, the Grapevine.
Okay.
There's like, you've heard of them, Grapevine?
I haven't heard of the Grapevine. I gotta look into these.
There's
Okay.
they black.
Uh-huh.
It's my girlfriend, she put me on. She's not even black, she's Fijian and Indian, and she was like, man, you should watch this all black podcast that I saw one day. But she know the name, and I just fell into it. I was like, oh shit, like, oh, I need to be in this space. I'm not as educated as these people, but I want to be in this space where I can pick up information like that. So if Grapevine ever want to do some work with us, we are more to help, more than
Right.
welcome to do it. They like our big sister, big brother. So we, so those are some of the things that we're looking towards to like template those things. Would you live in Atlanta? So Georgia, I want to say thank you to all the folks that live in Georgia, because y'all came out and y'all showed out and
Yep.
y'all flipped.
The whole state. Yep.
Y'all flipped. That moment was just as big as Barack with it.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
the whole night we
Yeah.
waited on Georgia.
Uh-huh.
It
Waiting
was
on
like,
us.
come on, Georgia.
They always, there's a lot of jokes always going around there saying like it came down to Campbellton Road. Like America's history came down to Campbellton Road, which is like a street in Georgia, or a street in Atlanta. Sorry. So this is interesting. Black people are always here to save America's ass. You know what I'm saying? Black people are always here to save America from itself in certain ways. And so it's just another, that is just another example, modern day example of black folks in particular, uh, in regards to whatever is happening to us, doing what we got to do and looking at the bigger picture for the rest of people. Like, and that's just what it comes down to. Black folks here, we the salt of the earth, we the salt of America. We give it its seasoning, we give it its taste, we give it everything. So that was just another example of that. But yeah, I was excited to be a part of that history.
Oh,
So,
for sure,
yeah,
man. And I like, how old are you again?
30.
So in our
I'll be
lifetime,
31 next year.
we have experienced a pandemic. We have experienced a black president. We will, in a matter of days, get a black vice president. We have seen the Capitol storm. we have seen just as much as any era of people. And I mean, it's crazy like
Yeah.
how that works because we used to read about shit in the history books like, oh no, we'll never be part of that kind of history.
And I talk about that a lot. It's like the same history that you were talking about, you're actually living it. So you're living it. You're going to be able to say, I remember when this happened. This is what I was doing. This is what we were doing. This is what it looked like. And so that's very interesting, right? It's like now you're living out history, literally
What
living
they
out history.
say, what the past will always come back to you. And it's
Hmm.
crazy because I read a lot about like protests and stuff like that. I've never been a part of a protest in my life. It
Hmm.
wasn't. I lived in Chicago. I mean, that's an activist. Like that's the playground for activism.
Hmm.
And I've never like experienced something so traumatic as far as when the George Floyd stuff happened. Granted, the Trayvon stuff happened, but I don't think I was fully like in all like into it.
Hmm.
But when the George Floyd happened, I took my boys and we went to the Black Lives Matter marches, and it was like, damn, like my kids is here. Like I'm actually in this moment where this is going to be remembered, and I need to be. I needed to be a part of this. You know, I had a lot of
Hmm.
old black folks tell me, which is sad. Oh, bro, protests don't do shit. Oh man, don't they and go with your kids. And that's a
Hmm.
bad thing that we got too. We gotta kick that habit. You know, now if it ain't got nothing to do with us directly, fuck it. We gotta
Yeah.
get away from that for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I think that definitely we have to get away from. But I want to also say this that um, historically, right, even with even with the civil rights movement, we look at it as this black movement, and we assume that everybody was a part of this movement, right? That everybody around the country was participating in this movement, but it literally wasn't. It wasn't even close to the majority of black folks was out there. There was pockets of black people who believed in it so much that they did it. And what I said, I just say that what the old man or what those old folks said was right, but then also was wrong at the same time. So yes, protesting doesn't work, but it does work. It does what it's supposed to do. And what it's supposed to do is bring awareness to something that's happening. Now,
Yeah,
it doesn't work if all you do is bring the awareness and then you don't have any actionable items and plan in place for after you get that. You feel me? So
yeah,
the most important part is yes, you have people there that are supposed to be a part of protests. There's a group of people who do protests and they do it very well. There's another group of people who's the one planning everything that happens after it, or who are doing work. So I always look at it from like everybody has a role in the movement.
for sure.
Everybody's role may not be going out there and protesting and making picket signs, right, and getting your ass beat and going and jumping on count like getting on sitting in and sit-ins and diners and stuff like that. Everybody might not have that one part of the movement, but everybody can join in some way.
For sure. Hey, talk to me about Run the World University.
Yeah, so Runable University is a podcast that me and Demont created, and we created the podcast because for me, I wanted to figure out more ways to get people to understand what Run the World is fully about. And so the way in which I thought would be dope to do that is through a podcast where I could actually talk to people and continue to spread the message auditorily. So I created the podcast to not only be something, I also wanted to be able to get other people's stories. So I always wanted to be able to tell other people's story and interview people I felt were running the world, who were using their passions to look back and give back, to give some kind of inspiration. So that was how it started. And even in there, like I'm going to start doing like little segments, which I'm going to call maybe office hours, where I'm just being able to talk about things myself personally. Because I think right now we do it from a perspective of like interviewing other folks and talking to them and hearing their stories. But I also think there's this other level of like, I don't always have the opportunity to share uh, how I created the piece. You know what I'm saying? Like in depth, just talk about it. So I'm gonna start using the pod. Also, I want to use the pod as a way to be able to give people more information on why we created this piece. What was it inspired by? What were the books that I was reading? Who was the history? Who was the person on this shirt that I created? Like all those kind of things. I want to be able to have a platform to do that. So that's where Run the World University came from. But I also think of Run the World itself as an alternative institution of higher learning. So I call it Runaway University because Run the World itself is a place of of thought and education being and knowledge being disseminated and being shared.
Man, how many episodes you done so far?
Man, we've done so we've put out 14 episodes, but they're all pre-recorded. So I've probably done probably close to 17, 18 of them. But
Okay.
we've put out about 13. I think I want to say 13.
Let me know if you need extra bodies.
Oh yeah, no, hey, we're gonna have you on the pod for sure.
And
We're
let me
gonna
let
get
me
it. We're gonna
know.
put you
Let
on the
me know,
ride.
man.
Oh yeah,
Hey, I want to say before I let you
I
go,
appreciate that.
what kind of tips can you give somebody who's like trying to get in this space and they're like, man, they ain't worried about the end game so much. They just worried about how to start, how to get going, how to get the wheels turning.
Well, I think so. There's two things I would say. So one for me, you just got to do. So just jump out there. It's going to change. What you're doing in some ways are going to change as you do it. So don't focus on like trying to be perfect out the gate. Just get something going. Just get something going. And from there, you'll make changes. The market, the people, they'll tell you what they like, what they feeling, what they're not feeling. So it's not really up to you. That part is like, yes, you can try stuff, but that part isn't really up to you. What people gonna feel is what people gonna feel. So
For
that part
sure.
don't really think about. You still put effort into that, but understand that people gonna feel what they feel, and it may be something different than what you thought people were gonna want to gravitate toward. So that's one thing. The other thing is for me, again, I'm a person that comes from a research background. Meet with people, research as much as you can on people that are doing things that you want to do. So if you want to be in a space, you should be talking, actively looking at people who are doing certain things that you want to do or doing it at a scale that you want to do it at, and figure out ways to either pick their brain or research and know as much as you can how they do it, did it, what were their shortcomings, how they do it, because there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun, and it's success. Success to me is a formula. It's not up to luck. Luck is for, as I like to say, suckers. Luck is for suckers. You make your own luck, and you make your own luck by putting the work in. So nothing is up to luck. It's all up to you being prepared for a moment, because everybody's gonna get their moment where your number gets called, but not everybody performs when their number gets called.